Hello and welcome to Versus Live. I'm Ross Merriam.
And I'm Corey Ballmeister.
And we've got Rob in the booth. Say hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Rob will be taking all of your questions, comments, concerns, and burns in the chat. Make sure to tag at Star City Games so he can see them and send his favorites over to us.
All right. Versus Live is back, and we have so much to get done. We've been off for a week, so there's a lot that happened. The PT Finals was the main thing we're going to focus on. It was won by 4-color rec, but Team of Reclamation had a dominant performance there, so we're going to try a lot of those decks out from the PT Finals. There were some aggro decks that did well. Bant Ramp is still in the picture. Hey, I'm doing my spiel. I'm doing my spiel real quick, though.
Did you see the announcement yesterday?
There was an announcement?
Yeah.
No, I honestly, I can't keep track of all the announcements. What did it say? Is it important to the show? Or what?
Yeah, Grove Spiral also got banned.
Are you serious?
Teferi also got banned.
Time Raveler?
And Caller Familiar got banned.
Well, what are we doing for the show?
Decks that don't have those cards.
Oh, okay. I knew I should open those emails. Okay. You take it away,
I
then.
called you like 6 times yesterday, and you weren't picking up, so I just planned the show myself. And
Okay. I was like, yeah, why did I have a Yorion deck? I didn't think Team of Reclamation.
I tried to talk to you before the show, but then you just kind of got up and went. I don't know what you were doing.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Our vacation's over, right?
Yeah, sorry, I was still in vacation mode. You know, I was still relaxing. So okay.
Yeah, I'll
you got it. Sorry about that.
So as we all now know, but most of you already knew, there was a major ban in Standard yesterday. So we are exploring the format post-ban. And that means, essentially sweeping changes.
Yeah.
Because this format was, one, it was incredibly powerful. We've had several bans over the last year. But it was powerful in a very specific way, where we had these pseudo ramp decks that were just going way over the top of the rest of the metagame, and they were powerful and consistent enough that it was hard to get underneath them with most aggro decks. We saw a little bit of mono black last weekend start to find the right mix and the right threats that they didn't really match up well against. But these decks were also really adaptable. So honestly, I'm sure the Reclamation players would have figured out how to adapt to beat Mono Black, within a week or two.
For sure, yeah.
And that was a big problem. And now I think we're going to get back to a standard metagame that looks more normalized, like what we've been accustomed to for 5-10 years in standard environments. A good amount of mid-range, a little bit of aggro, maybe some control. Maybe there's a ramp deck with Ugin that goes over the top.
Yep. Mid-range, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Mid-range was killed by combo decks. And I mean, that's what we saw in Pioneer as well, which we're going to focus on Thursday. But combo really shuts down mid-range, and then that just changes the dynamic of every single other deck you can play. They all have to really attack combo, or they have to really be controlling to deal with combo and still be able to beat the aggressive decks that are attacking combo.
Yep, exactly right. So a good, healthy amount of mid-range today, a good amount of aggro in a new format is what we're looking at for today's show. I'm going to be starting out with, I think, a deck everybody always looks at when they're unsure about what's going to be happening, and that's mono red aggro.
Yep.
Not a ton has changed here. I've changed up the sideboard quite a bit.
Okay.
Just adding some different tools that I think might be better against what's going on. Obviously, we don't need nearly as many disenchants, I think, in this format. So those kinds of effects are getting cut. Things like Shield Breaker. I'm kind of thinking that maybe these red decks are going to want some active treasons. I've got one on the sideboard.
Okay.
Because I think that the bigger creatures that fight these mid-range matchups, Elder Gargaroth, Cavalier of Thorns, things like that just get trumped by Wilderness Reclamation and Fires of Invention, or have been over the last 6 months. Those are the kind of cards that can come back out to play, and the aggro decks need to be able to attack through them. You got some Subiras on the sideboard, which is already kind of a staple of the sideboard if you look at Sandy Dog's list, which is what I did when I built this.
Oh yeah, he's the one who stocked mono red, that's for sure. Yeah,
he's the one who stocked. So, pretty typical mono red here, and we'll see how it goes against a matchup that I'm sure you're excited to play with.
I'm just excited. All right, I'll break the fourth wall here. All right, that joke was bad, but I did know that these bans did happen, and this was the main deck that I loved with the bans, because Azorius Blink has been one of my favorite decks by far, but it had a heinous Wilderness Reclamation matchup, and it also didn't have a very good Bant Ramp matchup. So both of those are essentially gone. Too many cards have been taken away from each side, and now I don't think this is the final tune form, because we don't know a metagame for sure, and in fact there's already changes I would like to make, but it is really powerful against the other decks, the other non-combo decks. So yeah, Azorius Blink from this side.
A ton of value from the creatures.
Yep.
You have your, lovely Yorion here. So this is just your normal incremental card advantage, good interaction. You're playing to the battlefield, you're drawing extra cards, but you're not doing something super busted, go way over the top. This is what Standard has been about. So this is definitely the kind of deck that I think a lot of people would be attracted to, and for good reason.
Yeah, and I mean, we lost Teferi. Teferi Time Reveler was something that was played, but it wasn't the catch-all be-all. It was just in there. It didn't necessarily synergize with the rest of the deck, except, like, you could blink it with Yorion. You count that as synergies, but it's just a powerful card. So it's a loss because of the power level, but it wasn't key to the strategy.
Yes, exactly.
So I think it can still withstand that, so...
Okay, well, let's get into it.
Let's battle.
It's been a while, but I see the marbles are over there, so I will be on the play.
We definitely can't remember 2 weeks ago by that point, so yeah, who knows what truly happened. But
2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, nobody knows.
Exactly.
Time is an illusion.
I think we're still in March, I'm pretty sure, so.
Yeah, at least mentally. If only the weather were still in March.
Yes, that's all right. That is all right. Okay, my hand's pretty decent.
Okay, I've got lands and a bunch of cheap spells. I think I'll keep.
That's what your deck does, so I'll keep as well.
I will start with a Scorch Spitter.
Okay. We'll go with the Hollowed Fountain. Pass to you.
Let's play a Robber of the Rich.
Okay.
And get in for 4 total with the Spitter trigger and trigger the Robber.
Bang. Exile for good. Okay, so I'll take 4 down to 16. Yep.
Want to hand me a piece of paper?
Piece of paper, yep. Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, down to 16 already. Gotta love it. This is definitely a good play-draw matchup, so I am for sure worried on the draw. So I think I'm going to play Charming Prince, and since I already have my play pretty mapped out for next turn, I don't think the Scry has a lot of value, so I'm just going to gain 3.
Okay, you go to 19.
Here we go.
Interesting. I think I will play this Annex that I just drew.
Oh.
Get in with Robber, trigger it.
Okay, you got a Fibblethip. And now the question, do I want to block, or do I want to try to keep it alive for later shenanigans?
Shenanigans?
Wee bit of shenanigans. I better just block.
Okay, so these trade. I get a Satyr token, and I will pass the turn.
All right. Yeah, that card is quite annoying. I'll play a land and pass to you.
What could you have? I know what I have, and it's another Robber of the Rich.
Okay.
And I can play the cards in my hand, or I can try to play this Fibblethip by attacking with the Robber.
That's true.
I'll just play the cards in my hand. I'll play a Fervent Champion.
Okay.
Then I'll play a 10th Street Dodger.
All right.
And I would like to attack.
You got it.
I'll send in the clowns.
Yikes. Okay, well, I'll give you a land.
This is...
Yeah, so I'll
6.
take 1 from Scorching. I got this, so I'm going to go to 18, then up to 20.
Yep.
I got 2 humans. I'm going to block Scorch Spitter and 10th Street Dodger, I think.
That block will have you taking 10.
Yeah,
This is a 6-power Annex.
I'm just so dead. That was a nice curve out.
You had turn 2 Charming Prince, turn 3 Omen, which is...
Yeah, I know, but I'm just super dead beyond that.
But the empty my hand by turn 4 using all of my mana
is pretty good. Yeah, it's the question is, do I try to chump Annex, or do I start trying to deal with stuff?
And it's a tough decision because you want to start whittling the board down, but you don't really get to whittle the board down because you're just going to get Satyr.
I think I'm going to go Scorch Spitter and Satyr, so you only get 1 Satyr. It at least eliminates a creature, but still really bad.
Still has you taking 10. So you're at
10. All right.
Pass the turn.
And I'm dead.
You have nothing?
Just dead. I have Thassa, but I couldn't afford to keep Charming Prince around. And then, if I can get to turn 5, start Yorining Blinking. But even then, it's not going to be great.
I mean, this is 15 with the castle, so.
Yeah, that's a good way to use every bit of your mana there. The Annex was the hard part. Everything else is decent. I could deal with them. And Yorion could stabilize and catch me up at some point, but the Annex is just too much there.
And that's kind of how these red decks have been, right? It's Annex, Embercleave, Torbran, and then a bunch of kind of weak 1s and 2s.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, Bone Crusher Giant is a pretty nice one.
Yeah,
Robber the Rich can be good, but you got these 10 sort of mopey 1-drops that are not particularly powerful on their own, but when you just curve into these really powerful 3 and 4 drops, they look really good.
Yeah, exactly. And Mono Red right now, I feel, is actually going to be at a really good spot. Before, like the last few formats, when the formats kind of reset, it was like people would pick up Mono Red, but they're like, oh yeah, still Growspire into Uro, into Nissa, into Crisis, and it's like you still can't beat those. But now people are going to be playing mid-range and stuff where Red can actually take over. So I agree. I think Red is going to be pretty good, but we're going to have some sideboard cards to deal with it. We are going to take a short break here on Versus Live and be right back with some sideboarding. All right, everybody, welcome back to sideboarding here at Versus Live with Azorius Blink up against Mono Red Aggro. From my end, I am trimming some of the Omen of the Seas. These are the additions that I made because Teferi was gone. Kind of leaned into the Yorion Blink thing. Not very good against you. I don't really have the time. I left in a few because they are, of course, fine on turn 2 to curve out and try to find your key Shadow the Skies or Archons or any kind of piece of interaction. Taking out 1 Solemn Simulacrum, the 4th Elspeth Conquers Death, 1 of the Gyrudas, and then 2 Thasas. This is another deck similar to like Dredge, where you want all your pieces to kind of make your engine roll, but of course there's things that are better. So I think these are all the ones that are expendable. I could see any of the numbers being increased or decreased on taking out an extra Solemn, you know.
Yeah, you can massage them as you
I can massage the numbers, as you would say, exactly, yeah. And then I got a couple Devout Decrees, you know, the 7th, 8th, 9th answer for Annex. Annex is just the biggest problem in this matchup, alongside Embercleave, but if I can maintain your board early, then Embercleave becomes a lot less of a problem, but not an easy feat to do when I'm also playing, you know, cards like Fibblethip. So I'm bringing in the other Omen, and then Archons of Sungrace, and a couple Shatters. I have one more Shatter that I'm going to bring in on the draw if I were to win this next game. But yeah, that's my plan.
And on my side, not many changes. You almost always want to raise your curve a little bit with Mono Red post board because your opponent's going to be able to keep up with you.
Yep.
And you need to be a little bit more powerful. So we're trimming the 10 Street Dodgers. I'm also cutting a couple light up the stages. I think on the draw, this card's going to be much more difficult to spectacle. You know, Corey has cheap creatures to get in the way. I'm cutting some 1-drops anyway, and we're replacing those with Subiras, which can provide some card advantage late as well, but does so in a way that gets through a lot of blockers, which is a lot of what Corey's defenses are going to be about.
Yep.
And bringing in a couple removal spells that can deal with bigger creatures like Archon of Sungrace, Yorion, you know, things that really get in the way and are hard to deal with. So a couple Soul Seers here as well.
Yeah, Soul Seer is a card that even in the SCG this last weekend, I played Team of Wreck, you know, which we do not have to worry about anymore. But I played 4 Soul Seer in the sideboard, and I just think it's a really good card for red now when, you know, if aggro decks like Mono Black continue to play like Hunted Nightmare, like the world's going to be different, so who knows. But if decks do still like to play Hunted Nightmare, Winota, all these cards where you want to interact with them at instant speed, but they're all kind of different colors and stuff, like normally Gust would be a good thing to interact with creatures of all sizes, but now with so many different colored decks and everything's not blue-green decks anymore, then you really want an unconditional removal spell, and Soul Seer I found to just be like the blade in red.
The best option.
Exactly. The best for red, you know?
Yeah.
And even like Glass Casket trying to deal with the Winota and stuff like that is not great anymore these days. You know, Glass Casket against Gem Razor for mono green isn't great. So, you know, I'm starting to go away from that kind of card. I really want unconditional removal spell like Heartless Act and Soul Seer and stuff like that.
Yeah, things like Murderous Rider get a lot better in this metagame. You know, things that we're used to seeing be good in standard because they're good versatile removal spells, but the format has been so narrow, you've just wanted the most efficient removal spells against that narrow range of decks.
Exactly.
Now you need to be a lot more wide-ranging, a lot more versatile in your answer base, and those 3-mana removal spells, that's sort of the hallmark. You can pay 2 mana or maybe sometimes 1 and get a really efficient but narrow removal spell, or you can pay 3 mana and get a really versatile removal spell. And typically we've seen a good mix between those. More recently, we've seen it skew towards the efficient and narrow end of the spectrum because of how narrow the metagame was. as the metagame widens, we'll see a move back towards those more powerful 3-mana removal spells and more versatile ones, and Soul Seer is definitely in that group.
Yep, and I mean, like think of, I agree with your point 100%, but even think of Terror of the Peaks. I think that's one card that got unbanned, essentially. Like
that one coming up later.
Yes, oh man, and I played a sweet Terror of the Peaks teamer deck that was based on Michael Majors, the Brew Master. It feels good to have him back on this side of the WotC wall because he gets to throw in some gold here and there with his deck list. But that'll be coming on my Dropping Bombs tomorrow, and let me tell you, it was a blast. I kind of just watched back one of my videos and I'm like, I think I might have been too excited because I was having so much fun playing against just random decks again with cards that you just normally don't play with. I went Uro into Terror of the Peaks and then escaped Uro, deals 6 to the thing. I was like, Standard's back.
This is what I remember.
Oh yeah, it felt good. Hey Rob, you got a question?
Yeah, I've got a few here. First one is from Heptagon. They want to know, is Rakdos Sacrifice or any version of Sacrifice just dead with Cold and Familiar ban?
I mean, Rakdos Sacrifice didn't even play it. Rakdos Sacrifice did not play Cold and Familiar.
Yes, it did.
Or Rakdos Aggro, I guess. The most recent version of Rakdos.
But the Sac decks played Cold and Familiar.
Okay, but wasn't there a Rakdos deck that just played like Butchers, Gutterbones, Rankles, Rotting Regisaurs? Like, there was a deck that didn't have the Cat Oven combo, wasn't it?
The recent lists were all Mayhem Devil, Cat Oven.
Yeah, they were because they still played Claim, so they still had Witch's Oven. Yeah,
and
yeah, edit that out, Rob. What I just said live, okay?
I don't think losing the Cat Oven loops is definitely a problem. That was a good part of the deck. It synergized so well with Mayhem Devil, but one of the sort of unseen consequences is that now Witch's Oven is a pretty weak card. The best thing it did was the combo with Cat, but you really need a healthy number of sacrifice outlets to make those decks work.
Yeah.
And so now you're really making a sacrifice in the power level of your deck by putting a weak individual card in it, like Witch's Oven, whereas before, because of the presence of Cat, you had that to build towards.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think, those decks, if they are going to continue to exist, will move towards that traditional aggro shell. Instead, we'll play, won't play Claim. We'll play sort of normalized removal spells, Eliminate, Heartless Act, something in that realm. Bedevil, maybe. Yeah. In small numbers, Murderous Rider, and anything.
4 Rankles. Yeah.
Rankle
that's the kind of start. Spawn of Mayhem. It's going to be like powerful red and black cards. And
the question is just going to become, is the mana base workable enough to make that deck consistent?
Yeah.
The mana is already kind of weak for 2-color aggro decks.
Yeah, exactly.
The green decks make it work, like Gruul with Paradise Druid playing a big role there, and they can go a little bit bigger on the curve and play a higher land count, which helps you hit your colors. So I think Rakdos just gets left behind because it's harder to do something like that.
And your claims aren't going to be good anymore, or as good, because the metagame's going to be so much more wide, and there's going to be more removal, so your creatures aren't going to be as good. So I think that one's going to be tough. I think, you're going to want to be a really fast, linear, aggressive deck, like Mono Red, like Mono Green, like Winota. I think those are going to be staples moving forward. Those are going to be your linear, good, aggressive decks that other decks are going to have to try to beat. But then there's going to be teamer decks that are going to have a lot more removal. There's going to be Sultai decks that are going to have a lot more removal than before, because you couldn't play Eliminate when teamer rec decks were around. If you're eliminating a Shark or you're eliminating Uro, they've already gained their value. You're naturally 2-for-1ing yourself, so that just couldn't happen. Yeah. But now the world is going to be different. Maybe you can't play Eliminate and stuff like that just because, there's still going to be decks that go over the top and play 4 and 5 drops as well as early drops. But there's just so much to unpack, and
there's a ton here.
Yeah.
My big thing is those 5-mana spells. You mentioned Terror of the Peaks. I think Cavalier of Thorns, Elder Gargaroth. There's a lot of things in that realm that aggro decks are going to have to compete with. They didn't really have to compete with before. Yeah, Vivian Monsters Advocate is another one.
I want that.
And so the aggro decks are going to have to, I think, get a little bit bigger. They were focused on being really low to the ground and just ending games quickly.
Because you had to against Rec.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you got to really build your aggro decks with that kind of thing everything in mind. And Rakdos doesn't really do that. There's not a really powerful overarching threat unless you want to play Terror of the Peaks after your Rankle, and you don't really have good synergies with Terror. Your creatures are a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
So I don't think it works as well in a Rakdos shell.
Yeah.
It would be like kind of cute with Cat Oven, I guess, but that's what you're losing. And where Rakdos got its power was those sacrifice synergies, and those are what is really neutered. So, I'm looking for more individual power level on my cards, really across the board, but especially out of aggro decks, because they're going to have to change their approach because the metagame is so different.
Agreed. So, moral of the story from that question, Heptagon, and everybody else listening, play whatever you want right now. At least right now, it's Magical Christmas Land. You can play and have fun with anything until the metagame narrows again. And I know that's what I'm going to go do,
Just play the powerful cards.
Yeah, just play the powerful ones. Maybe don't play the old shells. I think that's the moral of the story. Okay, well, this hand, I'm on a mulligan. I had no land, so I'm guessing you're keeping?
I think I can keep this hand. It's not super fast, but it looks, I've got a good mix of stuff.
Yeah, this hand is absolutely slow, but I think I have kind of one move here, and it's just get rid of this, hope to draw this kind of effect later, and hope for the best. Not a great start for me, though. I'll pass to you.
I've just got a mountain.
All right. I just have an island. Your go.
Now I've got a Steamkin.
Okay.
You're up.
Well,
I like no second blue source, no Baron.
Yeah, that would have been nice. I'm gonna put this Yorion into my hand. Your go.
Ooh, putting some extra cards in your hand, eh?
Some would say that's cheating.
Well, I will play a Steamkin, get a counter on this other one, and attack for 2.
All right. I will go to 18.
And I'll pass the turn.
Yikes. Well, only one real choice here since we didn't draw the land. I will Devout Decree, Scry. I'll keep this on top, and I'll pass to you.
I'll play a Robber, get a counter. I'll play a Robber, get a counter.
Okay.
I'll take that land off the top of your library.
Rude. At least I didn't want that land.
Attack for 7.
Okay.
Go to 11.
All right.
Hope you don't rip a land for this Shatter.
Oh, man. Did I say I was happy to play Magic again? Because I'm not happy to do this again. Your go.
This has been your life for the past couple weeks, right?
Yeah,
Just losing a mono red at every turn.
I have a
Subura.
Yeah.
Attack for 10. Trigger 2 Robbers.
All right. Trigger 1, 2. Okay. I can safely assume that one's still exiled.
Yeah.
Omen.
Brings you to 13.
Yep. May I block?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Now the cleave is scary, but you have to remove the counters. Do I want to try to take down a robber, or do I want to just try to chump block? I think I'm in chump block mode, so I'll block 1 here, 1 here.
So you take 4, brings you to 9.
Yep.
Okay. I will play a light up the stage.
Okay.
Notably, with this having a damage on it, I can't use it if I want to keep it around.
Oh, you can. Okay.
A little awkward there, but I'll play a land and pass.
Okay, well, we know what we need to draw, and it's not that.
Oh, we're dead.
Oh, that's so lame. Of course I had the Shatter, but kept a 3-lander. I think no matter what, I'm dead to Torbran here. Yeah, I'm just dead. All right.
Yeah,
Lame.
I'm gonna remove 3, play Annex, get a counter, play Torbran.
I think you actually should have just played Annex and sacrificed this.
Really?
Yeah. Because I think
it's better against Shatter.
Exactly. You probably lose the game if I Shatter with just being able to play one of those. And if you have Annex, all of a sudden you get 5 Satyrs if I Shatter, and then you get to play Torvin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think I'm stone cold, had 0 chance to win if you play Annex. But I needed the land earlier. I had 3 land shatter from the beginning, but the robbers got me good. I got super punished by not decreeing the Steamkin on site. Because I went first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went first. So on turn 3, if I decree it, instead of put Yorion into my hand, then I scry something to the bottom, get the land. But I guess you robbered that turn anyway, so yeah, it would have been all different.
Oh, no, I would have played the second. I still probably play the second Steamkin because I drew it that turn.
Yeah.
And just set up for double robber on turn 4. And you scry to the bottom, so I'm not incentivized to play the robber to take a card that,
True.
was there.
And you don't obviously know I have a hole in my game plan.
Yeah.
From not having a land. Yeah, and then I solemn you, and then I had ECD and, stuff like that. So I think it would have been a little different there. Yeah. But
Millie
if I rob you that turn, you're going to draw Temple, and you'll still have the shatter return later, but you'll still have it.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been a little different there. What were you saying, Rob?
Yeah, Millie Miltank said a good comment.
Okay.
That is what we in the business call an oof.
An oof, yeah. Or what we call in the North Dakota business, an ope. Oh, I'm just going to sneak that land right past you there. All right, Rob, do you got another question for us from our lovely audience? We haven't talked to you in so long. We miss you.
Yeah, classic questioner. I don't know if that's the right phrasing, but whatever. Histeus wants to know, do you think that ramp decks will look to Arboreal Grazer? Like, is that a card that will actually see play now?
I think Arboreal Grazer is still going to be really good in the mutate stuff. I think mutate's going to come back. Whether it be Amori mutate decks or just Simic mutate. But I think Grazer into migrating whatever horn is still really, really good. And I think that's one deck that still goes over the top in value, kind of like Krasis did, but without Growth Spiral, without Teferi, Krasis was already getting kind of worse. So that was not the value that was crazy over the top. But I think just like the Spacious Strix is still a good over-the-top effect that'll see play. But outside of Grazer, or outside of that, do you think Simic ramp and stuff is still going to be good?
I'm interested in looking into the ramp deck, but it has to really be dedicated. We've seen things like, Bant, which was sort of a ramp deck, but not really, just because Growth Spiral was so powerful, and it had a lot of good, 4 to 6 mana plays that it could ramp into a little early, and then they scaled well into the late game. Now you really got to be dedicated. You're tapping out in your main phase. You're not really interacting early, and you're getting to things like Nissa and Ugin and Krasis to help you go over the top. And when you look at building a deck in that way, where it's a dedicated ramp deck again, then I think Grazer is really valuable. Not only is it a nice speed bump against aggro, but it also curves naturally with the deck because without Growth Spiral, there's going to be less of a focus on ramping on 2 mana, more of a focus on trying to Grazer on 1, and then either Cultivate or Uro on 3, get to your turn 3 Nissa, and go from there.
What about Azusa?
I don't think they're going to play it.
Yeah, no, I like that.
But that turn 3 Nissa plan, I think, is going to be important for a dedicated ramp deck to try to have, so 4 Grazer is kind of mandatory.
Yep. And the one thing I think is people are thinking, okay, everything's changing. So Ugin's going to be that card that was like, it was good-ish, but, it wasn't good enough against the combo deck, so that's a card that's going to come back. That could be true, but one thing I want y'all to think of is when decks like that come back, and when we're seeing decks like Sultai play more removal and stuff now, like Eliminate or whatever, you get to play Murderous Rider as well. And against those decks where you're maybe only exiling like an Uro or only like a Joriel plus the Cats or something, some value card like that, then you just have spot removal for the Ugin. I actually don't think Ugin is going to be that good anymore. Now, it'll depend if non-black decks are mid-range, like Teamer mid-range, for instance. I don't really know how a Teamer deck can really kill an Ugin, so if like that's the shell we go for mid-range, then an Ugin deck could be interesting. But if it's like Sultai is your mid-range deck of choice, which I kind of think it will, I just think it has a lot of tools right now and didn't really need Growth Spiral that much because you can play Thought Erasure instead. Yeah. And Casualties is going to be good, a good value play. You still get to play 4 Nissas. Like, I think that's the mid-range deck that I want to start with. You get to play Treese, one of my favorite cards ever. Keep an eye on Ugin when it comes to that. If the metagame shifts in such a way where it's Teamer mid-range, I think it would be a good call. But if you see a lot of Murderous Riders, it really wouldn't. Or Mono Black playing Murderous Rider.
White has Elspeth Conquers Death, and there are definitely answers to it.
Yeah.
But Krasis and Nissa help you there. They can bait some of those answers out. Ugin's still going to, generate value when it hits the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of decks are going to play to the battlefield more with 3, 4, 5 mana plays, and you can just, demand an immediate answer while also resetting the board, setting it up to maybe Krasis the following turn. But it's not a card that's going to come down and just immediately end the game the way it often did before, unless your opponent was going way over the top of you with Wilderness Reclamation, but it would take out the Reclamation.
Yeah,
so.
It would end this deck's day immediately, that's for sure. And something you said earlier that I think is really accurate, if these aggro decks start to go bigger and bigger, Ugin gets better and better, because then they kill you slower, but you're playing, stuff like Yorvo that you get to block with a Grazer one turn, and then Ugin away, and I think that's something to look out for.
Yeah, no, completely agree.
Yeah,
definitely. Normally a card that we've been thinking is something that's heinous against aggro because they're so low to the ground. You're never going to get a chance to cast it unless you're in a position where you're winning anyway. So it's just win more all the time. That's not going to be the case if these aggro decks get bigger.
It's pretty nice because normally this is the kind of thought process we have to have when new sets come out because there's such a dynamic shift. Yeah. But even with our last bans with Agent Fires and stuff, we knew a clear course of where the metagame was going to go. What decks were still going to stay around, Jund Sacrifice, Wilderness Reclamation were going to be good, and that's what happened. Here, there's an idea. Some of the aggro decks are still good. I think Winota's still going to be good, but it's not completely obvious now because there is huge dynamic shifts that are going to have to happen because combo shuts down mid-range so effectively.
Oh yeah, we've completely reopened an avenue in the metagame. It really
exciting.
Does feel like a rotation.
It's a content creator's dream and just a Magic lover's dream, in my opinion. So, all right, well, we're going to keep a loose hand because you know what? I either want to get 0-3'd with this deck or have the Azorius gods show me some good luck.
I will not keep a loose hand because I really want to get this 3-0.
Oh, okay. We have the exact same mentality, but reverse actions. I like
different conclusions somehow.
I was going to say try hard roster here.
Okay. I was a one-lander. My land was Castle Embereth.
Okay.
It's very loose. Got a question there, Rob?
I do.
No, do you personally have a question with his team? We didn't ask you.
I thought the keep was fine.
Okay, perfect.
Corey would have kept it.
Yeah,
Yargs wants to know, how much do you think Dispute and Aethergust lose with the shift in the format? Do you think that decks there will still be a decent amount of like green and blue based decks?
I do. I think they're now sideboard cards though. Yeah, I think we were already heading into a direction where Aethergust was starting to feel like, okay, do I want this in the main deck to deal? Because I had this dilemma this last weekend. Do we want Aethergust in the main to deal with the 40% Reclamation mirrors, but it's also not even that good against 4C because they have Teferis? And then sacrifice it completely against, mono black or mono white aggro and stuff like that. So it was already getting like that. But I still think Aethergust against red, Aethergust against green, and even Nissa variants of ramps is still going to be amazing. And then Gust is the most efficient counterspell against any blue deck. So I wouldn't be shocked if you're a blue deck to have 3 Gust, 4 Dispute, or vice versa, or 3 and 3 or something. I think that won't change.
Completely agree. Those are just sideboard cards for now. And if the metagame breaks in a specific way, then they can come back into the main, but we're gonna have to see that happen first.
Exactly. Yep, agreed. So many moving pieces, and it'll be fun to dissect here. And we actually have to dissect it pretty soon because we have an SUG event this weekend to play.
Well, this hand has fewer lands than the last one.
Okay.
So I'll send that one back.
But looking at my hand, if my deck does not agree with me, I think you're still probably fine. One more question if you got it. I know this is a lot going on with bans and stuff.
It's very unusual for me to be mulliganing to 5.
Yeah, that's not true.
So I've had a few mentions of some people's opinion on different cards, but what are the biggest cards you feel got unbanned with this announcement?
I'll start. I think Terror of the Peaks comes to mind. Just because I think that was such a powerful card, but the Teamer decks went over the top of it. Let's see.
Murderous Rider.
That's a good one. Yep. Thought Erasure. I think Hand Disruption is a lot better in the main.
Yeah. Edgewall Innkeeper. Ooh, really powerful synergy card that you can build around.
The entire Adventures deck, I think that deck is going to be tier 1 for sure. Like, expect Teamer Adventures. That is step 1 for me in a standard tournament going forward, is I want to plan against red and Teamer Adventures right now, because I think those are what people are going to gravitate to first, and I think both of them are going to be good. What else? I think removal, like Heartless Act in the main, eliminate, stuff like that is possible.
Just, bread and butter removal spells.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good list to start from.
Extinction Event, kind of, too. That's a good one.
Yeah, you just like black cards right now.
Yeah, I really do. I think removal is going to come back now that combo is bad, and I think we're going to see that in Pioneer as well, with Sultai going to reign supreme here.
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we have at least a land, so that's good. Gonna have to put at least one of these back. I wonder if I have to try to keep one, because I'm probably not going to be able to run over Corey very effectively. Maybe we put this back and just hope to hit our land drops. I think that is the best play.
That's how I've lived my whole Magic career, so.
Let's play a Fervent Champion and get in for one.
19.
You're up.
All right. Okay, let's play. It's kind of close. I think I'm going to start with a Charming Prince, and I think I kind of want to scry this time. I need to make sure my game plan is hit, so top, bottom, your go. Did you have that in your opener?
Stompy. And get in for one.
You can't stomp a prince.
I can do whatever I want.
Okay, Ross Marion.
I have 2 mountains.
All right. I'm down to 18.
Those are the rules.
Those are the rules.
2 mountains, you get to do whatever you want.
All right, I'll play Kyle West.
0 mountains,
card.
so you can do nothing that you want.
Aww. That's not fair. Here we go.
Does that mean when I get to play Valakut now, I can just trigger off the just 2 mountains?
Whatever you want. Yep. Ross said it. Can't wait to call the judge on you when you're playing mono red at the first SCG when we're back.
Yeah, let's play a robber.
Okay.
So we can freely attack with both creatures, trigger the robber.
All right.
Take my mulligan to 5.
Very nice. I'll take 3.
Brings you to 15.
Yep.
Pass the turn.
15 to 20. All right, we get to hit our 4th land drop though, so
Tilt.
So we're crushing it. Elite Garbage.
Ugh.
18. Draw a magical card. I won't be blocking with Fibblethip, so take 1.
I'm at 19.
Your go.
Ugh.
Welcome to the Guard Mage. Yeah, I have some concerns about this deck. I think it needs to be restructured to be able to beat Rotting Regisaur and Mono Red. But if I can do those things, I think it's okay.
Let's play our Bone Crusher as a creature that can potentially attack next turn.
Yeah. All right, I will ECD that.
It's not okay.
And I'll pass to you. Got the 1 creature in the yard, so feeling pretty good.
Okay. Gonna have to waste this Soul Seer, unfortunately.
Yep.
Do another Fervent Champion, though, so I can get in for 6. Target each other with that.
Oh, God.
I have a Yorion.
You leave my Yorion alone. Do I want to chump with Fibblethip? I think I can chump later. Embercleave is still just going to be terrifying regardless. So, yeah, I'll just take it.
Brings you to 12.
Yep.
Pass the turn.
All right. Trigger to chapter 2. That should prevent Embercleave pretty safely.
What if I draw a land?
Then that's enough. Yeah.
Don't worry, I did the math.
Okay. Well, I think we have one pretty clear play here, and that's just set up for an excellent turn next turn. Bring back Yorion and pass to you.
Don't like that at all. Probably have an Omen in your hand.
What?
Okay. Play an Annex.
Okay.
Do I want to potentially save this robber so I can, Yorion later once I draw a land? I kind of think I do.
Get all your blink triggers.
So I'm going to attack with the 2 champions. You can triple block one of them, but then I'll deal with Fibblethip and you won't draw a card anyway. That seems good.
Yep.
So pump each other.
All right. I'll cast Omen.
Brings you to 14.
And I think I will do that play. I'll triple block.
Yeah. So I'll put Fibblethip first.
Okay.
So you take 2, so you end up back at 12.
Yep.
I get a Satyr token.
Okay.
And then I will play a Scorch Spitter.
Alrighty.
Pass the turn.
Now we should have a fun one. So I'm going to draw Chapter 3.
The Return Elite Guard Mage.
Yeah, I think so. There is also some thought to Charming Prince, but I think that's just worse. I want the body more than anything. So gain life.
Brings you to 15.
Yep. Draw a card.
Do you want a loyalty counter?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
We can get you one of those.
Yeah, sure. No, I'll take the 3/4.
You're going to probably blink it anyway. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
I think I need to draw Embercleave next turn to have any chance in this game.
Embercleave would not be fun. I think I only have one choice, and that's just playing Yorion this turn. Next turn, we can play this. So our hand is
20 life.
pretty bad, actually. So I'm going to blink out these. And then just play a Hollowed Fountain. I probably should have some number of gusts in this main or sideboard, if anyone was wondering that. Maybe a little bit of an oversight, but also who knows what the metagame was going to be. And I built it before we knew our matches, of course. Yep. So I'm going to gain 5. I'm going to go to 20.
Yep. Draw a card.
Yep. And pass to you.
You got 5 in hand?
I have 5, yep. And you know none of them. Alright, so Annex is gigantic.
And we'll attack you for 5.
So you cannot Embercleave me. Probably just looking to play Bone Crusher. Oh, that's not an adventure. Okay.
Correct. You exiled it with ECD.
Sure, all triple block.
Okay, these trade. I get 2 satyrs.
2 satyrs, yep.
I'll play another Annex.
Okay.
Pass the turn.
Alright. Pretty strong.
Just doing what I can to stay in this game. Hopefully we'll find an Embercleave that sticks, but...
Yeah, Embercleave is still just going to be scary. At least for next turn, I might be able to contain... No, not even really. So let's see. I can just start just trying to gain so much life that I essentially get out of reach here. That might be the best.
So it turns out I would have been better off keeping the second Soul Seer instead of the Scorch Spitter, but my 5-card hand had 1 land, and this was my only 1-drop.
Okay.
There were 2 Fervent Champions and then lands.
Love it, love it. Okay, I am going to start with an Omen of the Sun.
I don't like that at all. You go to 22.
Okay.
It's like I haven't done anything.
You're right, you haven't. All right, I'm going to attack.
I'm at 15.
Okay. I guess I attack with this too.
I'm at 13.
Okay, and then second main, I'll play Facet Deep Dwelling. I'll play my land for the turn. I'll blink Yorion, and then I'll blink out these 3 at end step when Yorion comes back. And they'll be coming back at your end step. Your go. This is your big turn, because now I could start tapping Annex and stuff, but a Torbran would be terrifying. That's probably your best draw.
So is it good that I do that?
You are so unreal. Oh my god.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. I don't know. I might not be dead, but...
Yeah, you're not dead. The robber still gets eaten by the Yorion, which is a little awkward.
Yeah.
But I think at this point I have to just go all out.
Yeah, probably.
This is going to chump block an Annex, and this will block the Scorch Spitter for sure.
That's my block.
But this is going to be 3, 6, 15, which is a pretty healthy chunk. And I'm going to get some satyrs still. So yeah, send it to everybody. You take 3 from the Spitter.
Yep. Yeah, I'm making these blocks. There's kind of the obvious ones. You're going to get 2 satyrs.
So you're going to take 15 total, because this is 12 plus the Spitter trigger.
Yep.
You're going to go to 7, and I'll get 2 more satyrs.
Yep. All right, cool. Nice draw.
Okay.
Luck sack.
On your end step, you go to 11.
Yeah, end step,
or no, 14.
7, go to 14.
I forgot about the Guard Mage.
Yeah, okay. So 14, I get 4 Shaheens. God, that's too many Shaheens. We know them, That's just far too many.
Where's my electricity? It would kill the Guard Mates too. It would be great.
Untap. And what are you at?
I am at 13.
Yeah, I'm getting close to being able to turn the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. I wish if I had any blue permanent, I think you were just dead. Right? Because 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yep, I do not.
I mean, I can block the Thassa if I need to, but...
I can tap it.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, so if you have blue permanent that costs, 4 or less.
5 or less, because I have a land, yeah. So all of them.
All of them. Okay.
Okay. All right. So Let's see what we want to do here. Let's go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can play a land.
Corey's gained 22 life this game.
Not bad, not bad, not bad.
You should be dead.
I should be dead,
You
but
should
I'm
be at
not.
-8.
I'm alive. I'm feeling alive. So I think I just want to play my 2 things. I think once again I'm just dead to Embercleave. Maybe I think I can prevent being dead to Embercleave by tapping Annex. So let's leave 4 mana aside and say I have 5 to work with. Let's go with Solemn Simulacrum. Probably the most fun card to say and equally fun to play. So I'm going to have Thassa to blink something at end step. It's probably just going to be Yorion again, but it actually might be Elite Guard Mage just to make sure I live, but that seems worse. All right, I am going to attack with these 2 for 6.
Brings me to 7.
Yep. And then end step, blink this, and then Yorion trigger, I'll blink these. And that's it. We're going to leave the Solemn as a blocker. Yeah. And then I'll pass to you. We're going to tap down Annex at some point.
I think I have no outs.
I don't think so either, but...
I have 7 attackers to your 6 blockers.
Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure you're auto dead next turn. So yeah, you should have locked you out. But if I didn't leave tap mana, Embercleave on Annex, just, I'm guessing is lethal, you know?
Yeah.
All right, at least I didn't get completely clowned. At least I could beat the game where you mulled to 5.
So you're going to get 6 more power on your end step.
Yep. I guess you are at 7, so my flyers are technically not lethal.
Satyrs can't block, so they're definitely all coming in.
Yep.
Can I afford to attack with the Torbran, or do I just attack with the Fervent Champion? Yeah, these 6 are definitely coming in.
Okay.
So that'll be 8.
You're dead. I'm having 5 power. All I have to do is get attack with, or get 1 token in, you know?
Send with everybody.
All right, so I'll block here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'll block like that.
So this takes 4. You take 3.
Yep.
Brings you to 11.
Yep. And I draw a card. These all die.
Yep. And then I get 1 Satyr from this dying.
Yep.
And then I will stomp the Yorion.
Stomp the yard. Okay.
So now I'm not dead. So
yep.
You have 6 power again.
Good point.
End step, all that comes in. You go to 18.
Yep.
But I had to attack with the Torbran, which probably 11, means I can't win.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up to 18, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I couldn't force the Yorion to block without attacking with the Torbran, and don't think I can win with the Torbran.
And I probably could have just not blocked with Yorion if I wanted to for sure guarantee having it, but I think just anything to maintain damage, I'm going to win the long game eventually.
Yeah, you have a full grip still.
Yeah, my hand is heinous, though, I must say.
You're going to gain another 3 life on the end step.
Yeah. But yeah, my hand is super bad. All right, I'll attack.
I go to 1.
Okay. And then I will play Devout Decree on Annex. We'll leave that there. I will play a Charming Prince, blink this. At end step, I will play Castle. Then I'll say go, trigger, draw 3, or gain 3, go to 21.
Blink anything with Thassa?
Oh yeah, all right. Blink this, stack the trigger so this returns first, and then blink this out, it'll come back at next end step. Yeah. Yeah, I guess here's one nice thing to learn. Like when you tap this, blink it, it comes into play at end step. 2 triggers will come back, the Charming Prince returning, and then the Thassa blink. You stack it so that the Charming Prince thing resolves
Put
first.
pass on the stack first, and then the Charming Prince return trigger on the stack.
Exactly. So this will return, then this will blink. You'll have this trigger on the stack, blink this out, and then at end step next turn, it'll come back in. So you kind of double trigger.
Yep. So this is over here. Attack with both my things.
Okay. I will make a token.
Jerk. Gonna win this game at 21 life.
Yes. You're right. I was going to be at 24.
24.
All right. Well, I think things about the Azorius Blink deck, I think it needs to have a specific metagame a little bit dialed out. Like, I think there is certain things that you can do as a generic strategy. Just like play Baron, blink it, play Charming Prince, ECDs, Yorians, maybe Dream Trawlers, maybe Gyruda. I'm kind of experimenting with both. I think that general shell is powerful, but you really got to have a targeted sideboard. And for instance, this version that I have right here is very vulnerable to Embercleave. So I either need more Gus, I don't know what else there is that can really deal with it, but against Winota you need like giant killers to be able to interact and stuff. So there's a specific set of decks that you need to target, and we just don't know what those are yet. So I think this deck is good, but I think it does need some work still.
Yeah, and then Mono Red looks pretty good. The cards it's playing, Annex, Torber, and Embercleave are really, really powerful Magic cards. They're great payoffs for having to play the sort of mediocre red creatures, and even your 2-drops are still fine in Steamkin and Robber of the Rich.
And it was doing good in the metagame that we were just playing. Mono Red was doing fine. Sandy Dog was top 8ing every tournament, basically. And
it can afford to get even a little bit bigger now and not play as many of the weak 1-drops if you want to. Though they are just good with Torben to curve out. You saw like that game 1 I had where it just had a great curve on the play. And
I think the 1-drops are still great.
Yeah, you definitely want to play at least the 8. But I think it's a question of just how many, Torch Spitters do you want to be playing?
Yeah, I think it's the fastest deck by a lot. And we'll just see if mid-range decks adapt fast enough to beat it. But the one thing I love about Mono Red is I think Teamer adventures are going to be really big, and I think Red just destroys them. I would imagine. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like it.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be in a format where Shock is finally good again. Like this list has 2, but I could definitely see that number going up.
Yep, I played 4 in the Teamer mid-range deck that I played. It's also a Niv Mizzet deck. I don't know if you've seen this deck. It's so cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, Niv Mizzet,
Niv Mizzet, that card's still legal.
It is, yeah. Joriel, Teferi, Master of Time, Terror of the Peaks to go crazy, and then Niv Mizzet as well. It is a super cool deck. Watch my Dropping Bombs tomorrow when it comes live, okay? It's worth it. All right, that's going to do it for... Okay, that's fair. That's going to do it for our first round, y'all, in our new Standard world, which just feels so good. I'm not going to lie. I'm actually really excited for all our Standard tournaments now this month.
Feels like real Standard again.
It does, yeah. Where mid-range kind of runs rampant and stuff, which will happen.
But a lot of variety in what you can be doing with your mid-range deck.
Yeah, exactly. So Ross takes down round 1. We're going to head to round 2. I'll be playing Mardu Winota, a deck that I think is going to still be very good. What are you up against?
And I'm going to be playing Gruul. I know we talked about Mono Green being a default deck, but I think Mono Green was better than Gruul before because of its consistency. You needed that mana consistency to get under the Reclamation and these Growth Spiral decks. But with things opening up and there being more mid-range, I think you need a little bit more power, a little bit more interaction, and that's what Red offers you with things like Bone Crusher Giant and in particular Terror of the Peaks. We've mentioned it several times now as a card that's unbanned. This is a deck that it goes really well in. It can finish people off. It can control the battlefield. It's a card that kind of, if you untap with it, you're probably going to win the game.
Yep, exactly. No, I think Terror of the Peaks is awesome. And you get to play Embercleave, and I think Embercleave is going to be a lot better. It's a card that got unbanned, but it was still good, but it is a card that got much better in my opinion.
We get to, have the super synergy with Embercleave and Questing Beast, and it's just a question of if the mana works out, but I think you can afford to, you don't have to be perfectly curving to beat other mid-range decks if you're doing powerful things.
Okay.
You can miss a drop, I think, and still be good enough, and if you do curve out, then, your deck's going to be really good.
Gruul is one of the most powerful decks when it curves out and you don't have mana issues, so that's why Once Upon a Time in that deck was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. Okay, so we are going to take a short 5-minute break, and we'll be right back with round number 2 here on Versus Live.